Welcome to the Dimecast podcast. I'm Bethel Duran alongside Danny Hernandez. As always, all right, Danny, you've been running all over the place. You train guys. You take your kid to Disneyland. You go to different locations. You find time to be with your wife. All that good stuff. And yet, how many messages you have on your phone?
A little bit over 1,000.
I'm going to ask this every single episode because he's never given me the number.
I'm going to clear it
No,
out.
you're not going to clear it out.
I'm not.
The reason I ask every episode is because more people ask you questions that has nothing to do with, hey, Danny, my arm is in whatever slot, the hips, I got to turn here. Danny, I'm not throwing the ball far enough. It's more questions of, Danny, how's my recruiting going? And that's where a lot of the messages are that you have.
Yeah, there's a good amount of those.
So today's episode, you notice how he's whispering because he doesn't want to get into it. He doesn't really want to get into it, but I'm making sure we have this. So we did the episode of how do I know if I have a quarterback? How do I pick a high school? But before you get to college, you got to get recruited. So today's episode is all about how do I go about getting recruited? And it used to be, oh, you're all league and you're all city. Senior year, somebody gives you a scholarship. Now, when does the process start?
The process starts pretty early. There's some of these guys that pick up offers, by 8th grade.
Okay, I got to stop you there. Now, I work in sports.
Yes.
I work at ESPN, longtime reporter. If coaches can't call you until junior year, how the heck does a 14-year-old have an offer?
So 14-year-old could have an offer from maybe attending a camp, maybe someone like myself sharing information on that particular kid and them getting a chance to see him through a workout or something like that. So that's kind of how that process.
But is it started. A real offer?
Yeah. Well, all an offer is especially with these offers that happen so early. I'm anticipating that you're going to be a big time player. So I want to get my foot in the door right now, because these coaches will go back and I'm saying, hey, remember, I was there day one. I was, I gave you your first offer before you got 20, 30 offers or whatever the case is.
Okay. Is that why they're from like schools that I've never really heard of?
Some of them.
So I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah.
But a lot of times kids are like, oh, I got this offer from here. I'm like, do you even know that that's in like Virginia somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
So the offers in 8th grade, they're through somebody, but if the kid were to sign the paperwork, that's when it's official.
Yeah. And nothing's going to be signed until, their senior year anyway.
All right. Sorry to cut you off. All right. So the
good.
process is now.
Yeah.
It starts early.
Yeah, it starts early, and there's like a couple, pieces of advice that I give to the kids is, especially if they think they're a high profile guy and have that opportunity, their social media is important, Twitter especially, right? Because the coaches are on Twitter. So if you could end up building out your Twitter properly, and do the right thing, then I think it makes you a little bit more of a attractive prospect.
All right. So you just said something. 8th grade.
Yes.
All right. So that's where it's got to start. This is for the elite quarterbacks that are already 6'2", 180, like they're studs about it. Or, they're 5'10", they're the ones that stand out, right? This is for those kind of kids, right? So they're going to get there because they get looked at where? Where do you find them?
Well, again, these kids could end up going to a camp or
what's a camp?
So football camps. So when camp season for a lot of these kids is going to be in June. So the month of June, colleges will host camps. So kids will go to them. You'll see a wide range of kids, their grades. Normally, these schools will put a cap on it. Like, so don't be a 6th grader, trying to show up, baby Gronk or whatever to one of these camps. It's get there, be a incoming freshman. So they'll put like the ages or the grades that they want you to be in to go to these camps. So these guys will go and get that look early on.
Now these camps, this isn't like, oh, the winter camp that the coach is putting on and it's more like daycare. No, these are like legit prospect camps.
Yes.
And they're advertised like you're coming here, so you have to pay to go to these camps.
You have to pay to go to these camps. And then a lot of times what I end up doing is, most of the time I have some good content on some of these kids already, and you've been able to see them throw or whatever the case is. And if I have more information, then I'll share it, and I say, I might have a kid dunking a basketball already, or I might have a kid, on the whiteboard sounding great, and knowing ball, I'll share that information sometimes with these coaches. These coaches will see that and they'll say, hey man, we got to get them on campus, for our camp. This is our camp schedule. If it's able to work for them, try to get them out.
These are the elite kids.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I don't have an elite kid. My kid's not a 5-star in 8th grade. He's like a normal 13, 14-year-old.
Yes.
He's 5'7", 140, but he's been working out with you for a few years, or his other coach or his trainer, whatever it may be. He's going to project to be a tall kid because I'm 6'4", my wife is 6 foot. He's going to grow. He hasn't hit his growth spurt in 8th grade. Let's get to high school now. 9th grade, what should I be doing to get my kid attention? He's already starting quarterback at his high school. It's a smaller Division 5, 6 school. What should I be doing as a parent to help my kid get attention as a 9th grader?
I think it's more about the kid, not so much the parent, but the things that they could do is, one, have a pretty good social media presence. That doesn't mean that they got to be posting every single day, but it looks the right way, right? You have the right information in your bio. You're using the right pictures. You have the right tweet that's pinned, all that kind of stuff. So now, because you're going to end up following these coaches, right? So you want your page to look desirable enough that the coach ends up taking a look. Oh, I got this follow from little Timmy, and little Timmy's page looks pretty impressive. He's such and such size.
That should be the football page, not the one where you're posting little whatever rapper guy.
Yes. and that's the thing that I constantly try to talk to these kids about. Like, Instagram might be one thing and, they're going to have a little bit more fun on it, but Twitter, really try to keep that almost like your football resume, and put good stuff on there, stuff that you'd want a coach to see, because that's really how they're probably going to first end up seeing you. Okay. Like, so if I tweet something out on a particular kid and it looks pretty good on the post maybe that I end up putting, coach may go to that kid's page, and end up seeing, okay, what does it look like on this kid's page?
And then that's when they go look at everything, and don't be posting that you're better than Tom Brady,
yeah,
or that you're better than the kid who was all first team and you were second team. Yeah. That kid sucks. Don't tweet that.
No.
Don't tweet emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So as the 9th grade process, so I go to camps again. Yes. This is it. You got to go to camps. That's where you get your attention.
Yeah. Well, to start off with, if we're talking as an incoming freshman or whatever it is, as an incoming freshman, in order to kind of put yourself in that area to be like a prospect, hopefully you're very, very clean with your mechanics. Maybe you have some physical tools that are really going to stand out. If you don't have that just yet, then you better make sure that you have some really, really good film. So that wouldn't come yet until you're in 9th grade already.
Can I send my stuff to the coaches?
Yeah.
You can contact them.
Well, the way it would work for a kid. So like the way it works on Twitter, right? If you're a coach and I follow you, if you don't follow me back, I can't connect with you. But if you follow me back, now the DMs are open now. Now I could end up sending you my film and see it. Now the coach can't respond. The coach can't respond. It might be, hey coach, thanks a lot for the follow. Can you please take a look at my film? Any feedback's appreciated, something along those lines. And if they end up taking a look at that, they can't get back to the kid just yet. But what ends up happening sometimes is that coach could now end up contacting that kid's head coach, or maybe the trainer that he's attached to, or whatever the case is. And then now they can maybe find some more information on that kid.
So if you contact the coach and he ignores you, don't think that he's ghosting you.
Yes.
It's just he's not allowed to.
And
when are they allowed to talk to you?
It's not until they're junior. There's a cutoff.
There's a date.
There's a date.
Usually junior year.
Yeah, junior year there'll be a date.
So so for 2 years they're going to ignore you.
Pretty much.
But they're going to know everything about you.
Pretty much. So what they could do, coaches could accept a phone call, but they can't call you directly.
Huh.
Yes.
So
there's some gray area.
So that's where you really, as a player, need to be stepping up as 9th, 10th grade, because you're like, hey, I want to go to blank A&M, and you call the coach and you tell him I like this. And you're telling him like, this is why the Twitter is work. So it's basically your Twitter is you're posting your Friday. This is why I like to see a lot of your quarterbacks Saturday morning, they're posting their highlights. Yeah. I did this, I did that. Not to brag, it's to get attention.
Yeah, because if a coach is following you, then he gets a chance to see that. Then sometimes the kid will, again, if that coach follows them, then they have access to send them something directly. Okay. I've had a ton of times where a coach will end up saying, hey, let so-and-so know, that I've seen his stuff, I can't get back to him, and it's like, oh, okay, then I'll obviously relay that information. Hey, coach has been seeing the stuff you've been sending him, says the stuff looks good. He just obviously can't connect with you right now.
So Enzo Hernandez throws 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And coach from Southern backwards up and down college university is going to go and text Danny, Danny, tell him I saw those 5 TDs. Look great.
Yep.
You go and tell him, and he's going to say, oh,
Yeah.
so that's how it works in ninth and 10th grade.
Yep. Work
It's just a game.
Yeah, it is. It's a game. And just kind of you try to help kind of, facilitate that whole thing and help them navigate
Okay.
through that whole process. And, for some kids, it's going to be a little bit more active than others, and others, it might be where they're trying to communicate a little bit here, and then it might take a little bit more, again, maybe physically they're not as developed, or maybe they don't have as much film just yet. So that'll be a kid that I'll probably say, hey, they like you. There's some attention right here, but you probably need to get out to their camp. And show
this podcast is, look, if you're a 5-star and you're 6'6", 240 and you're throwing dimes everywhere, you're going to get fat when you're like in 6th grade. This is more for the kids that are and the parents who are developing, and they're getting not as much attention, but it's how do I navigate this world?
Mhm.
Because, and I've seen it, Danny, in whatever sport it may be, all of a sudden it's, hey, come here. I know a recruiting service that can help you over here.
Mhm.
Pay me thousands of dollars. I can make a video for you. And then you never hear anything out there. There's a bunch of scams out there.
Yeah, there are.
And this is why people are watching this, right? Like, how do I know certain things? And it gets confusing. It really does. And this isn't just for Division 1, but this is like 1AA, Division 2, NAIA, whatever it is, D3. Like, you have to go through all this process because there's parents have so much information at their fingertips, but you don't know what's real anymore.
I think it's important that you brought up the other different divisions and stuff. And I think it's really important to understand as a parent to kind of have that self-awareness for your kid on where they fit. If I have that kid that's, 5'8", 140, I probably shouldn't be at the Georgia camp, trying to make something happen for him over there. It's like, you got to understand where you fit a little bit better, so now you're going to camps where there's a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel. And that's tough. Like what I try to talk to my kids about is, hey, if it's early on in the process, we could cast a huge net and go all over the place, go all over the country to kind of start off. But as we get a little bit later in the process, that net has to get a lot smaller, because now you need to be able to figure out what makes the most sense for me to visit, because I don't need to go and visit this particular place if they already have a commit, or I'm already 3 years into high school and they've made no connection with me whatsoever. It's like, yeah, that's probably not going to be the school for you. Go this route instead.
Well, because you look at where you can go to school, and it's, if you're training this hard,
Mm-hmm.
your goal is to just play in college.
Yes.
Obviously, Division 1 is the ultimate goal, but you got to be realistic with what you are. If you're 5'8", 140, and you have a 4.4 GPA, you can go find yourself a really, and you train kids like that also. They can find themselves a heck of, you can go to an Ivy League and get in there. What, you might be a backup, whatever, or you find a Division 3, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about just getting, obviously, Georgia, Alabama, you have those guys, but you get so much satisfaction in helping a kid just play at the next level right now.
Oh, no, without a doubt. And again, everybody's journey and path is going to be a little bit different. And you bring up some of those schools, and I always stress to the kids and parents, like quarterbacks, if you know that might be a goal, please take care of business in the classroom. Every quarterback that I have is going to be at least a 3.5 and above. They just
3.5?
3.5. These kids, I mean, you're playing the toughest position there is in all of sports. So you better be pretty smart, because you're going to have a lot on your plate, but when you're talking about some of these other guys, and this is going a little bit different route on schools, like the John Hopkins, the MITs, any of those programs, because I was dealing with those schools just this week alone, forwarded, some of my kids' information over to them, ended up realizing on the transcript, there was one C on the transcript, was like, sorry, doesn't make the cut.
Whoa.
Great grades, all A's and B's, everything's great. There was a C in some, I don't know, smarty pants math class that the kid ended up taking, and that was enough to get him off the list for them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, there's so many different ways with it, but 3.5?
Oh yeah, 3.5, because again, if I'm a coach,
I mean, it's not that hard to get, but Danny, come on, man. I'm the star quarterback. I don't have to go to class.
You have
I
to
throw
go to class.
80-yard bombs. I don't need a 4.0.
It's going to be a red flag as a coach if I take a look and you have grade issues.
Times have changed.
Yeah, if you have grade issues in high school, and come on, some of these classes are so easy for these kids now too. And if they're not even able to crack a 3.0 or whatever the case is, what's going to happen when you have that full plate at the next level, and you have that full schedule, and I'm giving you this extensive playbook and everything like that? Are you going to be able to handle that? Or are you going to be that guy that struggles with processing information?
All right. What's the nickname of Furman?
Paladins? Well, they are. I don't know.
We bring that one up because we're going to use this reference a lot. My boy Newell,
Newell.
or Noel Garcia, your nephew,
Yes.
is at Furman University, which is in the FCS, which used to be the 1AA. They're the Paladins. They're purple and white in South Carolina. So you have a Mexican kid from La Mirada High School who had a 4.8 thousand GPA and was able to get himself an opportunity to play in college. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. And you just want to make sure, again, that you're everything. And I constantly tell the kids this, let's be absolutely amazing in everything that we could control. Right. So that's taking care of the grades, taking care of, your mechanics, your presence, the way you communicate, all those things. I tell kids all the time, I can't make you 6'4". I can't make you run a 4.3. I can't do that. So, but in all these areas that we can help you in, let's be amazing in those things.
All right. Junior year, what should I be doing recruiting wise? I still don't have any big time offers. I have the FCF schools, which is cool.
Yeah.
We love Cal Poly Slow. We love Davis. But Danny, I know I can be D1, but I don't have those offers. Why?
And part of it is, one, getting your information over to these schools. Okay. So getting your information over to these schools would be if your coach or someone's helping you send that information over directly. The other thing that these kids need to understand is whenever they go to any of these camps, they just finished having, I think, an Under Armour camp. There was a Rivals camp the week prior. All that stuff gets filmed. And when all that stuff gets filmed, it goes up into what's referred to as a UC report. And all college coaches have access to that. So I always have to remind the kids, you may end up going to say, oh, it's kind of rainy, or oh, I'm not really feeling it today. Oh, the coaches ended up moving me. I got to throw to the running backs, not throwing to the receivers, and you're not bringing the right energy. Well, guess what? The coaches have access to seeing every single throw that you did at that particular camp. So again, coaches are going to pull that stuff because
everything gets filmed?
Everything. So now it's like when I send stuff over to coaches, obviously it's the best of the best and it's edited and all the good stuff, right? I'm taking all the right angles, doing all that good stuff for them. But when they take a look at stuff from the UC report, they're going to see the good, they're going to see the bad, they're going to see the in between, so they get to see it all. So I always tell the kids, guys, make sure that you're ready when you guys end up going to these camps. Don't just go and let's just figure it out, because I've seen guys where it's actually hurt their recruitment. I had a kid who we did a workout video for him and it was an amazing video. A kid had won state. He did all these great things. He goes to one of I think it was the Nike regional for the Elite 11, shows up with a brand new ball. Okay. He has a brand new ball and it's kind of rainy that day. Ooh. It was a rough day. Okay. So I had coaches filming stuff from the UC report and sending to me like, hey dude, this is not the same guy that you were sending me. So I was like, oh,
and that's your reputation.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. That looks nothing like what I ended up seeing, so I always tell the guys like, hey, be aware that they're seeing everything when you guys go off to these camps.
So how many, sophomore, junior year, how many camps should I go to?
The set number for something like that. And again, when I talk about camps, there's two separate deals, right? You have your camps of like going to the Nike regional, the Elite 11 regional, going to Rivals, going to Under Armour.
Those are competition camps.
Yeah. And you got to get invited for those. So if you have some varsity film, you've done, some pretty good things, you've probably got an invite or someone's helped you out with getting an invite to those. So that stuff's going on, right now.
Okay? That's elite guys.
And there's, for the most part, some really elite guys. And then when the camps are in June, anybody could go to those camps. Okay. Anybody could go. You could be, the 5'5", quarterback that, whoever it is, you could go to those camps. At that point, when you're going into camps in June, I always say, have a game plan on where you're going to go. Figure out, because it's time and money. Okay. It's expensive to start traveling all over the country and start going to places.
Oh, you're going to different parts of the country?
All over the place. All over the place.
If I'm a LA kid, I don't just go to LA?
No. You go all over the place, because sometimes those schools don't have the capability of going out and seeing you, or let's say you're in a situation where you're a really good prospect, but maybe you're not the starter at that particular school. So when that school did visit, maybe they didn't get a chance to see you do anything because you were just giving hand signals on the side or whatever it was, or snapping it to the starter, but you have some tools. So now you're hoping that you get an opportunity to get looked at. So you probably better go to their camp now, because they've already visited. They've seen the other guy. Now you got to go and visit so that they get a chance to actually see you.
Again, this is more for the kids who don't have the Power 5 school offered. Like you don't have Alabama, you don't have Georgia coming your way. And the kids who do that, fantastic. But if I'm watching this right now and like, Danny, you're making a lot of sense. It's expensive, because I live in Texas and I don't know if I should go to the Florida camp or go to the SC camp. But if you're not getting recruited by those schools, should you go to those camps?
Probably not. And there's some camps, and they're referred to
What
as,
if they called you, engaged some interest, but they don't really?
and that's where you do a little bit of digging to figure out, hey, where am I, right? Because everybody's, again, going to be a little bit different in their journey on that. It might be the early kid that maybe it's like his freshman, his sophomore year, and they've shown a little bit of interest. Okay, maybe you go. Maybe now it's later in the process, and I'm that going into my senior year or possibly even my junior year. I want to have a good awareness to understand, where do I fit on their board now? Does it make sense for me to go over there? That kind of thing is
Are
important.
there other coaches at these camps?
So some of the camps are referred to as mega camps, right? So there's a couple mega camps, and I try to attend a few of them. I'm probably going to tone it down a little bit this year. I've been a little bit crazy on the camp scene the last couple of years, but three of the megas that I know I should be at. TCU runs a mega camp, and there's a ton of coaches that are there. SMU runs a mega camp. It's the same weekend. Okay. Then the other mega camp that I normally attend is the Northwestern one. Northwestern will be obviously on Northwestern's campus. You have the Northwestern coaches, and then you'll have a bunch of other schools. A lot of Ivy schools, go to that one. And so go ahead.
For example, okay, this is great. This is great to know, because I can only afford to fly my kid out for one camp.
Yep.
Where should I go? I should go to the one where there's going to be other coaches from other universities there. I'm a parent. Do I go up to these coaches and talk to them?
No, the parents aren't really going to go up and talk to these coaches. You're not going to have that access anyway, right? You're not going to be able to be.
What if I see them in the hotel?
You see them at the hotel, that's something different. Okay. You want to chop it up with them.
What if I make sure I bump into them at the hotel?
It happens.
Should I do that? Danny's like, don't do that.
Not my guys. I'm not looking for my guys. That's a no-no.
Don't be desperate.
Don't be, exactly.
Let the film work for you.
Yeah. Let the film work for you. When you get out to a camp, hopefully you do a good job at the camp.
Yeah.
You'll know if you're getting that attention, from the coaches. And sometimes the players will go after and talk to the coach. Hey, coach, thanks a lot, for being here and everything like that. And they might even say, hey, can I get your Twitter? And sometimes if there's real interest, that coach is probably going to follow you back right then and there when you're getting it. If not, you'll probably get the little kiss of death of, hey man, thanks a lot. We'll keep an eye on your film, 3-4 games in.
Like, it really is about being aware of who you are.
Yeah. You have to be aware. You have to.
Like, if Texas hasn't called, there's nothing wrong with Texas Southern.
Yeah.
University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Get in where you fit in, baby.
All right? You got to be, especially now with the transfer portal, you can grow and you get bigger and you can go to a different school because you no longer have to sit out. There's no penalty.
Yes.
All right. So I go and I send my kid to camp. He's going to throw. Camp is over. He grabs his bag and he walks off.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't talk to anybody.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Big mistake, right?
Yeah.
What should the kid do when he's at camp?
When he finishes camp, make sure you go and you thank coaches. And you'll see long lines sometimes of these guys. Don't linger and stay around real quick. Keep it short and sweet. Introduce yourself, and you'll be able to get an understanding if that coach is interested, or not. Shake his hand. Hey, coach, thanks a lot. Hey, I'm going to give you a follow on Twitter, whatever the case is. And then keep it pushing, I
always tell people, before you ever do an interview, know everything about the subject.
Yep.
Know everything about him. So if Georgia Southern is there and Furman is there, you should know everything about those schools. And do they tell you what coaches are going to be there?
A lot of times you do know.
So you can Google them.
Yes.
So you can have any kind of connection with somebody.
And it's such a great point that you bring that up, because it's an area that I think a lot of kids forget to kind of stay on top of. So now they're going, they have no idea who they're even talking to. I've been at camps where a kid's like, hey, is that so-and-so? Like, how do you not know? Did you not Google and know what he looked like? Like, what are we doing here? This is amateur hour. You know what I'm saying? So I get on these guys about stuff like that. So it's like, know who you're dealing with, know who's over there, have a little bit of a background. Because guess what? If you do have a conversation with that coach and you have somewhat of some background, that might come up in the conversation. And that coach is going to remember that, just because you did a little bit of homework.
So if I go to University Immaculate Heart in San Antonio, right? I'm at a camp in Texas, and that coach comes up to me. I'm from Montebello. You know who's from Montebello? Who's from East LA?
Who?
The Immaculate Heart AD.
Wow.
The reason I know his last name is Duran.
Wow.
So but if you can throw some kind of nugget that gives somebody kind of familiarity, that's what you want to do all the time, right?
Oh, yes. Oh yes, it's all this whole thing. It's about, relationships, and when you go out to these visits and you're doing these kind of things, you're trying to build those relationships and you're trying to connect with them on some kind of level. So if that's when you're going to camps in June, if that's right now in the springtime, guys are going to practices and stuff like that. And if you get that opportunity to talk to that coach, I hope you have some good things to talk about.
When you go and you find these kids and you see them, hey, we're going to go here, we're going to do this camp.
Mhm.
It's not really about the actual physical tools, is it?
I mean,
Because the coaches already know who you are.
yes, and a lot of times what happens in the camps, coaches have talked to me about it this way. When you go to these college camps, there's not going to be a ton of development that's happening in these camps. These camps are a little bit more of eliminating camps. And what I mean by eliminating, am I going to take a look at that kid? Does he have like a funky hitch in his stroke that's going to be way too tough to fix? Is his size not what we're looking for? If his physical ability is not what we're looking for, does he have a bad attitude? Whatever it is, that's normally what these camps are. They basically get you eliminated, and because they already have somewhat of an idea if you're good or not. And then here's the other part that I constantly tell guys, look good during warmups, because they're watching so many times. These coaches have already somewhat made their mind up just from watching them during warmups.
Come on.
It's mind blowing. I'm telling you, they'll take a look. You're right. It's natural for us. I'm taking a look like, okay, this kid, ball comes off his hand. Great. Okay. Well, looks like he has good body control. Okay. I'm watching all these little things. If you see this kid and he's throwing wobblers the entire time, during warm up, and his head's pulling out or doing whatever the case is, chances are I already canceled that guy off my list. There's so many kids to look at. So okay, cancel him, cancel him, cancel him, cancel. Okay. There's only these 5 guys. There's 50 kids here. There's only 5 guys that I'm really going to watch right now, and I've kind of got an idea based off watching them warm up.
And then after a camp, you come home, what do you do?
If you can, follow up with that coach. If you can, hey coach, thanks a lot for the camp. Maybe pass on some of your information. Maybe that coach, he hasn't watched your film yet, and the first time he got to see anything was you throwing right there. And again, you have to know how to read the room. If you recognize that coach ended up giving you some attention right there, and he liked you, and you guys were talking, it was a good little vibe between you guys there. Hey, probably a good time to maybe follow up with sending my film and little follow up there.
This recruiting world is fascinating. Again, you're the 5-star. You're going to get it no matter what. You're on the plane. You're on the PJ. You can do that. You can make all the edits. You can have all the TikToks you want. But this is more for the kids who are just right on that border. They're grinding where they're trying to get the attention. Yeah. It could be the difference between getting that offer or not.
Yeah, it really can. It's like, and a lot of this is being at the right place at the right time and being prepared when you have that opportunity, being at the right place at the right time.
Should a parent reach out to a coach via social media?
I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. I think,
but my kid's shy. He doesn't really like doing that.
Then he's probably not going to be the guy. Just plain and simple. It goes back to that little kid that should have been ordering his chicken nuggets when he was 6 years old. If he can't even communicate, now when he's 15, 16, 17 years old.
But it's intimidating texting a coach.
Sorry, you're not the guy. It is what it is. You're not the guy.
And the coaches know that.
Coaches know that. Yeah. Coaches, and I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it where coaches would be like, Danny, so-and-so's parent is killing me, man, sending me messages over and over. I made the mistake of giving them my number. Now I'm getting phone calls or texts or whatever from dad over and over. And that's the way you could kind of ruin things, And if I could put myself in that position, I say, let the parent know, hey, let's fall back. It can't be you. Keep the interaction between them, because that's a huge red flag for coaches.
Like, you can have the initial talk, right? But like, hey, this is my son, maybe, whatever.
Yep.
But then after that, the kid's got to do the work.
The kid's got to do the work. And there might be, again, some of the relationships, are a little bit stronger than others. And you may get that coach that maybe he follows that parent back on social media, and you guys communicate a little bit here and there, but you can't be over the top on it, because it's a turnoff for all coaches.
All right. There's your ISO camera. Best advice when you're trying to get recruited?
Best advice is one, take care of business with your film, take care of business with your craft, right? Make sure you're nice and clean throwing, your body looks right, you're comfortable with all those things. And then the other part is make sure you're going to places that there's legit light at the end of the tunnel, right? Have that self-awareness to know what fits for you, because what fits for him might be different from fitting for him. All right. And you got to understand that.
All right. Well, just like quarterbacks, you get a flag for delay game or bad passes, all that good stuff. I messed up. It wasn't Immaculate Heart. Immaculate Heart's a high school here in Southern California. It's all girls. That's where Meghan Markle went to high school. Not to bring the Royals up. The school I was thinking was University of Incarnate Word
Incarnate Word.
in San Antonio. Now that one you
I have
know.
a quarterback there.
You do?
Zach Calzada. Zach Calzada, my quarterback, goes to Incarnate Word.
And their AD's from Montebello.
I did not know that.
He went to Sure High.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Dr. Duran. All
That
right.
is awesome.
Incarnate Word. Nickname?
Oh, God. Hold on.
They're in the FCS. They're in the
Yes.
Southland Conference.
It's like some kind of like eagle or something like that. It's like a bird.
It's a bird
It's a bird, right?
from St. Louis.
Cardinal?
Yeah. just like Cantwell.
There you go. There you go.
So Incarnate Word is today's school.
Wow.
The Cardinal. Red the Cardinal. All right. So you having fun doing the podcast?
Having a great time.
Some great info, man.
Yeah.
Great info. I really am gonna go get recruited. I got 4 years of eligibility
You're
left.
ready. Let's do it.
I'm gonna go find me a good Incarnate Word school.
There you go.
Who else is in the Southland Conference?
We'll make it happen. There's
FCS.
some good ball being played there. I'm telling you, Zach Calzada, who's the starting quarterback for Incarnate Word, great staff over there, great people. Don't sleep on that program.
We also got Houston Christian University,
Mm-hmm.
Lamar University,
Mm-hmm.
McNeese State. I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
University of New Orleans, Nicholls State, Northwestern State in Louisiana, Southeastern Louisiana, Texas A&M Commerce, Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Yeah, some good ball being
There's
played
a
over there.
bunch of schools out there.
Yes.
Just do your homework, kids. 3.5 and above.
That's it.
You'll find a place to go play.
Yep.
All right. Danny Hernandez, Beth Duran. Been watching the Dimecast.